Hello, hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we are doing the 16th recipe from Carrot Cake Murder. It is called the Scandinavian Almond Cake. I am pretty excited about this, but a couple of little notes before we get into the nitty-gritty of what this is and what we need for it. The first ingredient is salted butter, which you end up having to clarify, which you melt it, you take out the milk solids. So they make this, it's called ghee, which is clarified butter without the milk already in it. I will say, I read the note that said it might be liquefied at room temperature. Did not occur to me, because if you look at it, it looks solid. Yeah, the inside is liquid. Surprised me because there was a layer of the butter on top, and I went to scoop it out to measure it out, because a stick of butter clarifies down to 6 tablespoons, according to Google or somewhere. My husband did the math for me. But yeah, so it went, and I went, ah! Another thing is that the book mentioned a 4-inch by 8-inch loaf pan. So Scandinavian almond cake actually has its own kind of pan on Amazon. This guy. So I got one of these. But I think that is about all of my announcements for the book. It does have notes throughout. There's quite a few little tidbits. But to start off, you are preheating your oven to 350. It says to cut a strip of parchment paper or wax paper 8 inches wide and 16 inches long. Lay it in the pan so the bottom is covered and the strip sticks out in little ears on the long sides of the pan. This makes for easy removal after your cake is baked. This will leave 2 short sides of the pan uncovered, but that's okay. It says press the paper down and then spray it again with Pam or another non-stick spray. You are going to want 1 stick salted butter, 1 1/4 cups white granulated sugar, 1 egg. I used an extra large egg. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of almond extract. It smells so good in my house right now. 2/3 cup cream. You can also use what Grandma Ingrid used to call top milk, or what we now call half and half. 1 1/4 cups flour, 1/4 cup sliced almonds. Optional, they make your cakes look pretty. It says, if you decided to use the sliced almonds, sprinkle a few in the very bottom of your paper-lined loaf pan. This cake is like a pineapple upside-down cake. The bottom will be the top when you serve it. And then it gets into Hannah's first note. Now, don't let this next step scare you. It's extremely easy, and it will keep your cakes from turning too brown around the edges. So, if you are going to go by the book's directions, it says to melt the stick of butter in the microwave on high for 40 seconds. It says you can also do this in a saucepan on the stove, and then pour it through a fine mesh strainer, the kind you use for tea, or a large mesh strainer lined with a double thickness of cheesecloth. After the melted butter has dripped through, dump the milk solids that have gathered in the strainer in the garbage, or throw away the cheesecloth if you use that method. What you have left is clarified butter. And then you let that cool, which I don't have to worry about that because it was liquefied in the jar. So I already have melted liquid clarified butter that's not hot. And then you're going to mix the white sugar with the egg, and then the baking powder and the almond extract. And then once the clarified butter, if you melted it, is not hot, you will pour that in. And it's got a second note, basically clarifying what you're going to do in the next step, which is you're going to put half the cream, half the flour, the rest of the cream, and then the rest of the flour. It says you don't have to be precise, just dump in what you think is approximately half. And then you're going to pour that into the loaf pan, smooth out the top, and then bake it. Now this is where it gets different, because it says if you used the 4-inch by 8-inch pan, it says 50 to 60 minutes. And then you cool it off for 15 minutes and then you flip it out, essentially. It says you can dust it with powdered sugar if you want to. And then the last note, which is important for me, says Mother's friends Joyce and Nancy have special round half-round loaf pans, especially for baking Scandinavian almond cake. Joyce's cake bakes for the same length of time as mine does. Nancy's pan has a dark, non-stick surface. It's heavier than Joyce's pan, and the dark surface makes it bake faster. Nancy bakes her cake for 35 to 40 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now, darker pan, it is, I think, non-stick. So I'm going to start off on the safe side of just baking it at 35 minutes and going from there to see how long it really needs. So that is everything about this cake. I think it'll go together super quick. And if it only bakes in 35 minutes, which it's kind of thin, I think this can be done in under an hour. So let's get started. This is everything we're going to be using to make the Scandinavian almond cake. All right, so because we have the melted clarified butter already, oh, gotta set up the pan. So we are going to, all right, spray, and then, I think that'll be all right. Spray, and then set to the side. Okay, it says sprinkle a few, but then never mentions the almonds again. So I'm just going to sprinkle the whole quarter cup of almonds into the bottom of this and hope that's what it's supposed to be. Oops, made a mess. Okay, we want the sugar and the egg. Yeah, and the egg. We're going to mix those up until light and fluffy. Next, we're adding the baking powder and the almond extract. Oh, I love the smell of that. All right, next is the clarified butter. Now it has us starting with the cream, so we want to pour in half of this. So yeah, that'd be about a third. A third would be half of 2/3, right? Yeah. Okay, so cream goes in. And then half the flour. And then the rest of the cream. And then the last of the flour. Now we just have to pour it in. Now, I would like to specify, I have never used clarified butter. Like, I've made brown butter for like cookies and stuff before. That's not quite the same as taking out the milk solids entirely. So I am interested to see how it reacts. It says it's supposed to keep it from browning too much around the edges, but I don't know what that's going to come out as. This is what we have. It's not really all that exciting. It's just kind of the pan with this stuff. So I'm going to put it in for 35 minutes and we'll see how long it takes. So I don't know exactly what this is supposed to be or look like. It took about an hour and 20 minutes to get it to come out something resembling clean. It's got like a crust at the top, but then like all of the stuff is towards the bottom. It's got like airy pocket. So I don't know what is going on with this, but it says to let it have 15 minutes and then turn it out. So did it come out the way I wanted it to? Not really. It doesn't. I thought it'd be all pretty. I was expecting the almonds to pop more. I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know. But as far as taste, flavor is great. The problem is the outside is overbaked. It's hard. It's not good. The inside, raw. Like, not like, oh my God, it's a raw, I can't eat this, but like, it's doughy raw. Like, maybe 5 minutes away from being inedible. So I don't know if it was the ghee. I don't know if it was the recipe. I might try to make it again to see if there is a difference in using the stick of butter versus the ghee, but I don't know. Like I said, the taste is really, really good. It tastes really good. Something went wrong somewhere. Like I said, it took me an hour and like 20 minutes to get it to where it was. I even got to the point where I put foil over it because the bottom was browning so much and the inside was still so liquidy. So I don't know. The only thing in the recipe I changed was the ghee for the stick of butter, which clarified butter is clarified butter. I don't see how that would have changed anything with the recipe at all. But for how good it tastes, I could see making this again and trying it with a stick of butter just to see if it changes anything. I'm not sure I will. If I do, I'll probably come back and tag this video. But, ooh, maybe I'll just find a different Scandinavian almond cake recipe and make that instead and see how that turns out. To see how close they are. Might do that. But next week, we are making Black Forest brownies, which I'm super excited for. If you're interested, join us next week. I hope you all have a good one. Bye.